Hi everyone, Adam with Etrailer.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the iN-Command TPMS sensors for your RV or any type of vehicle you may have. It's going to cover an RV, anything with tires really. If you have a flat toe setup, you can grab an expansion pack and put them on your flat toe setup as well, just to make sure all your tires are at the proper temp and PSI. So it's a pretty basic kit. It does have a lot of similar qualities to the other TPMS sensors we mess with, one of which being it does have an app. So everything is controlled by your app, but what sets this one apart is it's really easy to kind of sync everything up. There's a QR reader right here, and on the app you just click the QR option and you can scan that. It makes installing these extremely simple. I do recommend having one for your phone. There's other TPMS sensors that come with a little monitoring screen. It's just something that I don't see necessary, and my phone's always with me, so that's my choice. So some of you guys are wondering why you would want this TPMS sensor. Honestly, it's something that I would definitely grab if I had an RV, because obviously you're traveling, doing some fun stuff, and sometimes you're off grid. You don't want to have a tire blowout just because you're not monitoring the amount of PSI and whatever else you may have. If you're coming from somewhere down in Missouri, you go up to Colorado, that pressure is going to change in your tires. That's just one of the many situations where it will be a good thing to have on your RV. A lot of the times they have special tires, and if you're out somewhere where you're not familiar with, you don't know if there's going to be a shop to carry those tires and be able to do it sight on scene. You don't want to get stranded, so just do me a favor and grab one of these TPMS sensors, put it on all your tires just so you can be safe and enjoy your vacation without having any issues. So when they're all connected up, they all should be green, which means we are in the right range of heat and PSI. As you just heard there, it is going to give you an audible response if you have a pressure error. And as you can see down here, we got 23.9 PSI in that back tire number 6. So that's something that we need to definitely go air it up. But it's nice that we know without actually going back there and testing all of our tires. What we can actually do, if you leave your RV or whatever you have these on and you leave it outside for a little bit, you can actually go to the history tab. It's going to tell you the history, the present of it, the past high, and the past low for each individual tire. So you can monitor it and see if it's slowly decreasing, and if so, then you know you have a leak of some sort. It's a lot of really useful applications you can use this history tab for. So even if you don't have the app open and it's just sitting next to you in the cup holder or whatever, whenever it gives us the low pressure error, instead of giving us an audible notification, it should give us a notification here on top, and you can adjust all those in the settings of your phone. So as you can see here, we actually still do get an audible response even when we're not using the actual app, but then we can click that and it'll bring us up and then let us know that tire number 6 needs a little bit of air. And if you're not fond of the notification sound that it gives you, you go to our settings tab at the bottom and alarm tone. So we can get all sorts of different sounds. So whatever you like best, go ahead and choose that, and then just click back when you're done. So if we have another rig we want to connect to this app as well, all we really need to do is just click plus to add vehicle, and then we can pick the configuration that we want. If we had a flat toe setup, we could either grab our RV and just do these 4 tires back here as our flat toe setup, or if you have two axles in the back of your RV, you can use this one as well. We can also just go ahead and grab this middle one here. It's going to give us more options, so if you wanted to use this one for your RV and this one for your flat toe setup, you can do that as well. So if you have a trailer you want to sync up as well, you can click the trailer icon and then just select your tires and then go through the same setup as we did earlier for our RV. And for those larger rigs that you may have, the center one's going to give you the most options for the most amount of sensors. And for this kit, it's going to be 22 sensors that you can have synced up to your phone. And if you're having an issue that we haven't covered and you're struggling with it, there is an information tab down at the bottom here. And that's going to have all the tech support information that you'll need. So to wrap all this up, I have worked with a lot of different TPMS sensors, and one thing I would suggest is grabbing one that has an app so you can monitor it on your phone. You will be a little bit more familiar with how your phone works, and the other option is to grab one that comes with an actual screen. It's just extra hardware that you have to have on your dash, and you're still going to have to learn how to maneuver through it. This one I have not had any real issues with it. Definitely was a lot easier to sync up than some of the other ones that I've used that use an app as well. So I would definitely use the iN-Command and recommend it to you guys. So the first thing we need to do is assemble our TPMS sensors. We're going to have to take them out and grab our included tool and use the round side with all these edges. We're going to put that on the bottom, and we are going to remove the cap. It's just lefty-loosey. Once you get that undone, this will come right off. So now we're going to take one of our 4 included batteries and slide those in. And we want to make sure that the flat part or the positive part is going to be facing up towards our cap. So as we took the cap off like this, we're going to take it and slide the battery in like so. And now we can go ahead and replace our cap. There is a nice little O-ring in there too, so we will get it hand tight, and then we'll take the tool and torque it down the rest of the way just to complete that seal. And so this should thread on pretty easily, so if you're having a little bit of resistance, be mindful the threads are plastic and you don't want to strip that out. So it should go on really easy, but you want to tighten it down until you can't see that little O-ring in there anymore. That should be about good. Can't see the O-ring, so we know that that seal is nice and tight. So now on our kit, we're going to get these little guys, and we're going to put the tabs right here facing towards the cap as well. It's going to slide into that little slot, just so if they start to loosen, it's going to catch it and keep it nice and tight on there. These aren't necessarily locked on there, but just be mindful. Just line it up, push it on there. Pretty good. So now we can do that for the rest of our 3. So now we can go ahead and mount up our repeater. One thing that you guys need to know is we're going to have a front and a rear section here. Just make sure to kind of mount it accordingly to those arrows. This isn't necessarily something you need, just for those longer motor homes that you may have, or if you're doing a flat toe setup, it might not be a bad idea to put this repeater and tie it in. One other thing we need to know is just don't tie it into something that has constant power. It's going to be constantly draining. It doesn't have a large load, but it will be draining your batteries a little bit. What we did is we actually went to some of our wiring for our 7-pole. Our 7-pole has a running light wire, and we actually just kind of followed that harness, the wiring harness, up a little bit, tied it in, and then I do suggest maybe putting it on the top of your frame and zip tying it there just to keep it out and away from the elements. So as you can see here, our repeater is zip tied to our hitch, and we tied it into its wiring. We pulled the running light wire and then grounded it as well. And I would suggest maybe putting it a little bit more out of the way, maybe on top of a frame or whatever it may be. We can also actually follow this wiring harness all the way back. And if you want to put it at the midway through your RV, you can do that as well. It's all preference, but just be sure to try to put it somewhere where it's not going to move and it's not going to get bombarded with all that elements if it's raining or snowing. So now we're going to go ahead and grab our app if you haven't already. It's going to work with iOS, Apple devices, and your Androids as well. Download that. We'll click on it, and we're going to go to Add Vehicle. Depending on what you are using it with, you're going to choose accordingly. We have a RV here. So now we can go ahead and start plugging these into our tires one at a time. So we're going to go ahead and remove our cap on the stem of our wheel. And then we do have a little nut that comes with our kit. We're going to install that first. Put that all the way down to the bottom. And then we can take our sensor. You hear a little bit of air coming out, and then it should stop. We don't want to over tighten these. And then we can take this little nut and bring that back up to it, and then we can tighten it down with the included tool. So we are going to install these on the front tires. We're going to select those, and then we do have a dually setup, so we're going to have two on each side in the back. So I'm going to select those as well. Once we're done, we're going to click the check mark here, and now we have vehicle 1 set up. So this is saved as vehicle 1. If we wanted to rename it, we can click this little pencil icon on that side to rename it, but for now we're not going to. And these are going to be all of our tires here. So we're going to go ahead and go to our settings. So we're going to go ahead and click sensor pairing. We have 3 different ways to do this. I'm going to do the QR code really quickly here, and all we really need to do then is click start, click number 1, and then we can actually scan a little QR code on the top of our caps of the TPMS sensors. So we're going to go ahead and go to 1, which is going to be our front left, and then we're going to scan our front left sensor. And now, as you can see, it is going to have a code next to number 1, and that's going to match the code underneath the QR code on the actual sensor. So we got our front left tire all hooked up, so now we can go ahead and go around to all the other tires on our RV and get them all connected and synced up with our phone. The kit that we are using does come with 4, but we do have a dually setup here, so we grabbed an extra set of 2 to expand on our sensors so we can grab every single tire and monitor it. And that also goes for your flat toe setups. You can grab a couple more expansion packs to get more sensors, and then all you really need to do is just select your vehicle and select 4 more tires for your flat toe setup. So now that everything is hooked up and synced up, we have all of our tires in there. One thing to note, the color is going to indicate whether it's good or bad. It technically is at a decent PSI for most besides our 6th tire here, so we want to add a little bit of air to our 6th tire, but we want all these to be green. So to do that, all we really need to do is go to our settings tab and then go to our units and ranges. So this is where we are going to set the temperature and PSI for our tires. You can look on your tires. It's going to tell you the ideal amount of PSI that they want and the max amount as well. So whatever it may be, you want to adjust it to that. So out on our tires, it does say the max working load limit PSI wise for our tires are going to be around 80 PSI. So that's what I'm going to set it to there. And 40 PSI is what I thought would be the best low end number for the PSI rating. And then 140 degrees Fahrenheit is also a decent setting as well. And now you're pretty much ready to go. You can get back in the driver's seat and take off, knowing that you have all of your measurements ready to go on your phone.